Meet the Games of the Olympiad, or the Summer Olympic Games. First held in 1896, this international multi-sport event unifies the globe on one glorious sporting stage, where men and women test their athletic prowess in heroic attempts to win a coveted gold medal. Some participants have left the Games national icons, others national disasters. Whatever the case, you're guaranteed to have your heart warmed or broken every 4 years. Summer may mean fun in the sun, but for Olympians, it's their moment of truth. They say that nothing beats a good first impression. American filmmaker Orson Welles knows a thing or two about famous first impressions. His first Hollywood film, Citizen Kane, garnered 9 Academy Award nominations in 1941 and is generally considered the greatest feature ever made. In another famous first impression, former airline reservation clerk Harper Lee took time off to write her first book, To Kill a Mockingbird, which won her the 1961 Pulitzer Prize and instantly became a literary classic. The Summer Olympics understand the importance of making a monster first impression. And since the turn of the century, organizing committees have gone to great lengths to leave everyone in awe. The Sydney 2000 opening ceremonies featured a 2,000-man marching band, a 3,000-member choir, and of course, plenty of fireworks over Sydney Harbour. At London 2012, an explosion of fireworks closed a ceremony that cost $42 million and featured 15,000 volunteers and a parachuting James Bond parody.
It was amazing! That was the best thing I've ever seen!
But the event's creative director, filmmaker Danny Boyle, admitted it was nowhere near the scale set 4 years prior.
I think up to Beijing, you can look back and there's clearly an escalation. The shows get bigger and bigger and bigger, and you can't get bigger than Beijing.
Yes, Beijing 2008. Things seemed shaky early on, with their attempts to get Steven Spielberg on board backfiring due to political reasons, and their frantic preparations went down to the wire.
8th month of August, 8th. That's really lucky. Hopefully, this lucky date will bring luck to the opening ceremony.
They had luck and lots more. The most epic and expensive opening ceremony in Summer Games history became its most famous first impression. Coming up, Summer Olympic National Heroes. In recent times, Greece has become synonymous with first world financial failure. But there was a time when the land of the gods represented the pinnacle of athleticism. Thanks to the Olympic Games, dating back to 776 BC. Held every 4 years in the Valley of Olympia, the Games honored Zeus, the king of the gods. But much has changed since then. Although the Greek Games became the inspiration for the modern Olympics beginning in 1896, the nation's medal tally hasn't reflected the godlike dominance it once held. In fact, between the first edition and 2012, Greece managed 111 medals, 30 gold, 42 silver, and 39 bronze, with 46 of those medals coming in the Athens Games of 1896. However, perhaps their greatest ever Olympian is a modern-day national hero, with powerful traits that would make the ancient gods proud. Born in Albania to Greek parents, weightlifter Pyrros Dimas moved to the motherland when he was 20. He may have only gained himself Greek citizenship a year later, but he left the 1992 Games in Barcelona a national hero. The diminutive Dimas took home gold in the men's light heavyweight category and followed that up with 2 more successful title defenses in Atlanta and Sydney. So all eyes were on the weightlifter when the Games returned home to Athens in 2004.
This is a big celebration, so I will do my best. I know that it is what everyone is expecting of me. I feel that I have accomplished a lot over the past decade, and I don't have to prove myself anymore. So my target is to really enjoy competing, because the Olympic Games are a big celebration.
However, his quest for a four-peat was hindered by a mediocre bill of health, which included knee surgery just weeks before the Olympics.
Everyone knows I had a knee operation less than a month ago. This is my 3rd operation within 10 years. The first one was in 1994. Obviously, my knee has been problematic, but I can still make things happen even on one leg, so I'm looking forward to competing.
The odds were clearly stacked against him, but Dimas wouldn't be denied. Although he didn't win the coveted gold, his bronze was still seen as somewhat of a miracle. He signaled his retirement by leaving his shoes on the podium, but he hasn't been forgotten. Having gone into federal politics, Dimas still laments his nation's failed opportunity to allow the 2004 Games to become a gateway to a more prosperous future.
We didn't take advantage of this dynamic that we got in 2004 as we should have. We simply made the biggest mistake in our history. We switched off, locked up the stadiums, let them fall to pieces, and everything finished there.
However, he is still a beacon of hope for his proud but struggling nation, having been recognized by London 2012 organizers, who named one of their underground stops after him during their edition of the Games.
Greece needs positive recognition. Greece has history, and we are often misrepresented. We are not lazy. Greeks have pride. Greeks try hard. And in these hard times, Greek athletes try hard with less, and they will always try to do their best.
In literary mythology, the Flying Dutchman is a ghost ship that signifies imminent doom for sailors along its path. Nowadays, the nickname the Flying Dutchman is given to Dutch athletes, with Cruyff and Van Persie striking fear in football defenders. And at the Olympics, another Flying Dutchman, swimming triple gold medalist Peter van den Hoogenband, signified gloom for the other competitors in the pool. But perhaps no Dutch athlete made a bigger impact at the Games than a woman known as the Flying Housewife, track and field star Fanny Blankers-Koen. The world record-setting queen of athletics ruled the 1948 Olympics in London, winning gold medals in the 80-meter hurdles, the 100 and 200 sprints, and the 4x100 relay. They were her nation's first gold medals in track and field. But what made her even more influential at the Games was that she competed as a 30-year-old mother of 2 children, at a time when the notion of doing so was unthinkable. Breaking barriers for female athletes around the world, Blankers-Koen proved gender didn't matter in track and field, and was named Woman of the 20th Century by the IAAF. He is widely regarded as the greatest runner of all time, and was clearly ahead of his time. Inspired by the legendary Finnish runner Paavo Nurmi, Prague native Emil Zatopek was an innovator, having founded both interval and hyperventilation training. His torturous training methods paid off tremendously at the 1952 Games in Helsinki. It was there that he did something that in all likelihood will never be done again. He won the 5,000 meters, the 10,000 meters, and the marathon at the same games. What was most astonishing of his marathon gold medal was that it was the first marathon he ever ran in his life, having made the decision to participate in the event only hours before the race.
He always looks as if he hates running, but nothing stops him.
Zatopek was known for his strained and seemingly inefficient running style, but clearly it worked. With The Guardian reporting after his 1952 marathon gold that he looked like a man who had taken a brisk country walk. Known as the friendliest athlete on the track, there was one thing Emil loved more than running, and that was his wife, Dana.
Just before the 1948 Olympics in London, about a month before, me and Emil fell madly in love.
Dana Zatopkova competed for Czechoslovakia in the javelin and won gold herself in 1952, an hour after Emil won the 5,000 meters. Indicative of the playful nature between the two, Emil claimed his win inspired Dana, who wittily replied, "Really? Okay, go inspire some other girl and see if she throws a javelin 50 meters." Things got tough for the Zatopeks in the late 60s when they became outspoken advocates of the 1968 Prague Spring, or the democratization of communist Czechoslovakia. With Emil forced by the government into traveling the country to dig wells, visiting Dana during brief visits home. He would die at the turn of the century a national hero and one of the first 12 athletes to be inducted into the IAAF Hall of Fame. Other Olympians who defied odds to become national heroes include Romania's Nadia Comaneci, who made history as a 14-year-old at the 1976 Olympic Games in Montreal, when she scored the sport's first perfect 10 at the Games, following that up with 6 more. After defecting to the US in 1981, she went on to shine as a philanthropist, a diplomat, and even a participant in the celebrity edition of The Apprentice with Donald Trump. At the 2000 Games in Sydney, Eric the Eel Musambani of Equatorial Guinea seemed to almost drown during his 100-meter swim, but he finished. Despite taking twice as long as Michael Phelps to do so, he won over the hearts of those who'd witnessed the feat. And finally, pastry chef turned marathon runner Dorando Pietri of Italy was so exhausted after entering the stadium at the 1908 Games in London to complete his final 400 meters that he went the wrong way. Redirected by officials and helped up each of the 5 times he fell, Pietri's lead was so big he still won the race. Subsequently disqualified because of the assistance, he nonetheless received a cup from Queen Alexandra for his bravery and became an international celebrity. After the break, the greatest nations of the Games. The Summer Olympics have gone from a 14-event spectacle to a monster competition that features more than 300 disciplines, involving competitors from more than 200 countries and territories. And if gold, silver, and bronze medals were awarded as of the 1904 Games in St. Louis, Missouri, there is one nation that has won more medals than the rest. With the exception of the 1980 Olympics in Moscow, the United States has sent athletes to every edition of the modern Games. Between 1896 and 2012, the Americans have taken home 976 gold medals, 757 silver medals, and 666 bronze, for a total of 2,399 medals overall. And out of that total, 32% of them have come in athletics. Their rich history in track and field has given the sporting world some of its greatest names. Like Jesse Owens, who overcame racism in his own country while facing the rising threat of Nazism at the 1936 Games in Berlin by winning 4 gold medals in front of Adolf Hitler.
The propaganda that the Nazi Party wanted to put forward, which was centered in the idea that the Aryan race would perform in a superior way in those Olympics. Jesse Owens broke that myth right at the start, capturing 4 gold medals in the Olympics and dominating track and field competition.
All right, I wanted to come home, and I really did. After all, I haven't seen my wife for 3 months, and I'm very glad to be back home to see her.
Flash forward almost 50 years later, and another track superstar made America proud. Carl Lewis took home 10 Olympic medals, 9 of them gold, between the 1984 Games in Los Angeles and the 1988 Games in Seoul. Having broken 10 seconds in the 100 meters 15 times and 20 seconds in the 200 meters 10 times, the IAAF World Athlete of the Century knew he was awesome, but never took his God-given talent for granted.
I wish that I could have just mailed in those 9 gold medals and just said, oh, it's okay, I'm the favorite, they give it to me. You have to run that day and everyone can be beaten and anyone can win.
Other men in a long list of illustrious American track medalists include Bob Beamon, whose 1968 long jump remains an iconic part of the Games. Michael Johnson, the only man to sweep the 200 and 400 meters at the same Olympics and turn waddling like a penguin into a classic sprinting technique. And Jim Thorpe, who swept the decathlon and pentathlon at the 1912 Olympics, finishing 3rd in just one event, the javelin. Which is amazing when you consider he'd never thrown one before. He then went on to play American football before getting a town named after him. On the women's side, Jackie Joyner-Kersee was voted the greatest female athlete of the 20th century by Sports Illustrated, and for good measure. The former college basketball star won consecutive gold medals in the heptathlon and medals in the long jump, becoming an inspiration to female athletes around the world.
I do believe that, dreams are important, and we all have to have goals, and how do we work towards those goals and make our dreams become a reality.
And then there was the late, great Florence Griffith Joyner, who holds world records in both the 100 and 200 meters in times no other woman has ever come close to. But their most prolific Olympian can be found not on dry land, but rather in the pool. 22% of American medals between 1896 and 2012 were won in the pool. 9 were won by Mark Spitz, 7 of which coming at the 1972 Olympics, making him the first athlete to win that many golds in a single Games. But more than 40 years later, one man had accumulated almost 3 times that amount.
I'm relieved, and now he takes the baton, and they say you judge one's character by the company you keep, and I'm happy to keep company with him now.
The man Spitz is referring to is Michael Phelps. The Baltimore Bullet burst onto the scene at the 2004 Games in Athens, winning 6 gold medals and 2 bronze. The next Mark Spitz had arrived. Well, sort of.
I want to be the first Michael Phelps. I don't want to be the second Mark Spitz. I'm not downplaying his achievements by any means. What he did is still the best Olympic, performance of all time.
Not for long, Michael. At the Beijing Games in 2008, Phelps won 8 gold medals, surpassing Spitz for the most first-place finishes in a single Games.
It was amazing. I had gold chains, and I didn't have those fancy suits, so he has all of those ribbons. Pretty impressive. I think the medals are a little larger than mine, or maybe it's just because he's got 8 of them and I only had 7.
Add to that the 4 gold that he took home at the London Games, and between 2004 and 2012, he won 22 medals, 18 of which were gold, making him the most decorated Olympian of all time. Second on the list of most medals by nation is the Soviet Union, whose most prolific Olympian, gymnast Larissa Latinina, is still the record holder for most individual medals won at the Olympics with 14. Her overall tally of 18 medals was surpassed by Phelps, but she was absolutely fine with it, seeing her last medal was won at the Tokyo Games in 1964 when she was nearly 30.
I felt somewhat emotional to see the record broken. But finally, there's a strong, capable sportsman who has taken it. However, 48 years, that's a very long time.
Third place on the list of greatest medal nations is the conglomerate of countries known as Great Britain. The only country to have won at least one gold medal at every Summer Olympics, Team GB has seen some absolute legends of the Games. Their most successful gold medalist is retired track cyclist Sir Chris Hoy. The Edinburgh, Scotland native took home 6 gold medals before calling it a career following the 2012 Games on home soil and adding the Sir to the front of his name.
When you put on a GB jersey, you know you're part of a very exclusive club.
That club also includes another cycling Sir, Bradley Wiggins, the 2012 Tour de France winner who left the London Games with his 4th gold medal.
I'm never ever going to experience anything like that ever again in my sporting career, on home soil, in Olympic Games. And perhaps, you know, this last 6 weeks, I don't think I'm ever going to top in my sporting career now, winning the Tour and coming back and winning a home Olympic Games and a 4th Olympic gold medal.
One spot above Wiggins in 2nd place on Team GB's list of overall medal winners is Sir Steve Redgrave, who won gold in 5 straight Olympics in rowing between 1984 and 2000. Not to be outdone in both the medal and Sir department, competitive sailing superstar Sir Ben Ainslie won medals at 5 consecutive Olympics from 1996 to 2012, including gold at the last 4, making him the most successful sailor in Olympic history.
It's an amazing feeling, you know, such a high-pressure situation, so much at stake, but, you know, to have that crowd there willing us all on, it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I'm just really proud to have had that chance, and the things went well.
Still to come, running circles around the rest. When it comes to sprinting in recent times, no country does it better than Jamaica. The men have obviously relied on Usain Bolt, the speed demon who swept the 100, 200 and 4x100 meter relays at the 2008 Beijing Olympics and again at London 2012. But their dominance is even more impressive with the women, where Shelly-Ann Fraser-Pryce won gold in consecutive 100-meter finals in 2008 and 2012. In fact, London saw the Jamaican women go 1, 2, 3 in the 100 meters. There are a few reasons why they're so good. The Jamaican climate allows for year-round training, their diet is perfect for pre-race training, and their methodology focuses on the art of relaxation. But ultimately, Jamaicans just love to run. On the flip side of speed is endurance, and the Kenyan town of Iten is the mecca for long-distance running. The high-altitude training has bred some of the greatest long-distance runners the Games have ever seen, and trained athletes from all over the world.
It's working hard in here in terms of elevation. It's 8,000 feet, and it's something that's worked for me, and I've been here for the last 4 years, and just getting the right training.
But perhaps the most user-friendly Olympic running involves the torch. The ceremonial relay of the Olympic flame, or the torch relay, starts at Olympia, Greece, where an Olympic flame is ignited and concentrated in a parabolic mirror. Crossing countries and territories, it ends at the destination of the Games. First implemented at the 1936 Berlin Games, the relay has become a regular part of the Olympic experience, unifying all nations and giving everyone the chance to feel part of the epic sporting event.
I mean, I just think it's the start of an amazing event. It's, you know, all the countries in the world coming together. You don't see it too much nowadays, and I just think it's an unbelievable event.
As the games get closer, something gets hold of the world, known as the Olympic effect. It's when, in the lead-up to the Summer Olympics, there is an increased interest in sport participation. This leads to healthier and happier living. The Olympics themselves are an opportunity to ultimately unite the world, using sport to show a more human side to people, breaking down barriers and burning preconceived notions. Win or lose, the opportunity is there to come out of it better for the experience. No wonder it's known as the biggest sporting event in the world. And that is the truth.